And the reason why is because people feel like agents are manipulating the market artificially.
Talk to me all the time. Why are people doing this? Why is it listed at $199? It sells for $450, and they're mad about it. And I understand that.
And what a lot of people actually don't understand is the fact that when you're listing a house for like $199 and it sells for like $400, people think that $199 price is what it's worth. That's what I think a lot of people are like neglecting to understand. Yeah, so today we're talking about strategies, pricing strategies in the market. It's getting very interesting because we're seeing a lot of properties that are being listed for significantly lower than what they're selling for. And we're going to go over why that is, why agents are doing it, the strategy behind it, how to navigate it. And then we're also going to look at, what was the other thing that we're going to look at?
Would an open auction system be any better?
Got it.
That's a common thing that we hear. But yeah, so from an agent's perspective, in this market, we get it all the time. I get frustrated. People talk to me all the time. Why are people doing this? Why is it listed at $199? It sells for $450, and they're mad about it. And I understand that. And from an agent's perspective, the reason that we do it is because it works. And our goal when you're selling a property, like Dan, if you were selling your house right now, I think you'd want the most money possible, right? And you would want your agent to do whatever strategy is going to get you the most money. So with that in mind, that's why we do it, is because it works, right? Like I have examples where we list something for $399, get no offers, drop it to $299, then it sells for $450.
Is that right?
Yeah. And the $399 price point didn't produce any offers. So we also have to do what works in the market at the time. So I think my overall point here is don't be mad about it, right? Like don't fight it. If you're a buyer and investor in this market, there's ways to tell what something is worth, regardless of what it's listed for, right? You could have something listed for $199 that's going to sell for $350 or $400 or $450. There are ways to find out what a property is worth, and realizing that the price is just basically a mirage. So maybe from a non-agent's perspective, or from an investor or buyer, how do you look at that, right? Are we on the same page here?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
does it bother you from the outside,
It feels sleazy, but
yeah, I understand
but I understand. Like, it's not like people look at housing, I think, a little bit different. They get a little bit emotional over it, rightfully so. I think that's what ends up happening is, emotions get brought into it. People get heated. People start seeing the market shifting like this. And I think there's a lot of confusion surrounding this. I think what this does too is it kind of creates an environment that loses people a bit. So prior to all of this and this type of strategy, especially down here, when you listed a home for say $400,000, it's going to fall within a small plus or minus. Like they were, agents were listing homes for relatively what they thought it was going to trade on the market. So when buyers are looking at this particular property, they kind of know going in. Right now, you have no fucking idea. Yeah. And that's the problem that I think also people don't understand. And then what a lot of people actually don't understand is the fact that when you're listing a house for like $199 and it sells for like $400, people think that $199 price is what it's worth. That's what I think a lot of people are like neglecting to understand. And I think it's fucking people up mentally.
Rightfully so. Well, let's touch on a couple things you said. Number one, you said that it seems and feels sleazy. And I understand that. But I would encourage you not to think of it that way for a couple reasons. Number one, as an agent in a hot market where there's not enough supply and too much demand, a lot of times I don't know what something's really going to sell for. I don't, like the previous comp tells me that it's worth 400, but that was a month and a half ago, or that was even 3 weeks ago.
Things are moving so fast.
That's how quickly it's moving. So I have to let the market decide. So my job at that point will be to price it at a price that's going to get the most amount of offers and the most amount of people to come in. And then I'm going to let them decide. I'm going to let the market decide. So that's number one. So take the sleazy mentality. I'm not being a sleazy greaseball.
For sure, yeah.
It's just the same pricing strategy as Walmart would.
And I'm not coming from the perspective of like, I think it's a sleazy thing.
Yeah, not that you are, but
because I understand the play here.
Some people might
think it's like people don't like it, right? And again, and the reason why is because people feel like agents are manipulating the market artificially.
Yeah, and we want to touch on again that it's not like, don't blame us. If you blame us, then if you get emotional about something, it prevents you from acting rationally, and it's going to cost you money as either an investor or just a buyer because you're going to try to fight the system. So take the sleazy out of it. I'm just giving you our perspective as agents and why we do it. And then another thing. People think, oh yeah, the 199, they might think that's what it's worth, like you said, right? But really, as an agent and as an expert in the market, I know what something's worth within plus or minus 10 or 15,000, regardless of what it's listed for, because I can pull up all the sales data and I'm in the market every day. I have a sense of how many offers are on all these properties, and I'm usually, you can talk to my clients, I'm usually within $10,000 or $15,000 of what it's going to sell for. Even if it's listed at $199 and it sells for $450, I'm still right within that plus or minus 15 grand. So you can navigate this market if you know the market well, or if you work with somebody that does. Now, another thing, as an investor, I don't focus on sale price. I don't care if something sells for $200K, $300K, $400K, $500K, $800K. It doesn't really matter. What you need to focus on is return on investment. So that's done by basically sale price divided by income, basically, right? What kind of returns is this going to produce for me? So don't, as an investor, don't get caught up in whether or not you're paying 400 grand for a duplex or 500 grand. What's the income? What's the ROI? What ROI are you looking for? And will this duplex provide that for you? Will this sixplex provide that for you based on its projected sale price, which we can find with comparable sales or a simple cap rate analysis, right? So I think a lot of people think that lower priced multifamily properties will produce higher returns. But what I find oftentimes is that you're getting the same return percentage wise across the board, whether it's 400 grand, 500 grand, 600 grand, or 200 grand. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, the cash on cash return is similar. The cap rates are similar. Why focus on the crappy, cheap property over the higher quality ones?
Yeah.
You know? Now, if that lower quality one's producing a 10% cash on cash return and the higher quality one's a 5%, well, then you have a debate, right? Which one's worth it for you and which one's not. But,
yeah, for sure. Of course. Like there's you're trading one for the other, right?
So yeah,
that's why typically the lower end properties they'll make more money because there's more work. Whenever you have to work more, or you have to put more resources in, or more time in, or whatever, you're going to make more.
Yeah,
and that's why shittier properties trade for a higher cap rate because they're shit, and they know that that's just the way things are. Like, you're gonna for the amount of resources and time and effort and whatever you have to put in. Risk. You're gonna make more money, and rightfully so.
Sometimes that money, like we talk about all the time, is on paper and it's not reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of times those lower cap rate properties will make you more money over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about that numerous times.
They'll appreciate faster, whatever.
Yeah. So to summarize, basically, don't fight it. Understand what things are,
right?
Yeah.
So the whole premise of this actually came about, or the whole premise of this podcast came about when I go on Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes I don't even know. I think I'm actually on like these Facebook Marketplaces to like sell like random shit. You know what I mean? If I have like random stuff, or
you're on there a lot, yeah.
Yeah, apparently. So and then once in a while, people will post houses for sale, or they'll post like a house for rent, and people get fired the fuck up when they see people posting shit on there, especially agents, and they just like can't understand.
Yeah, they blame, like we always talk about, they blame the wrong people.
Oh yeah.
Like it's the agent's fault. Because you're listing this at $199, it's going to sell for $400. You're ruining the market. Yeah. And then we have to keep saying, first of all, when you're emotional and you're angry and upset about something, especially as an investor, because this is an investor-focused podcast, how can you act rationally and logically?
Yeah.
So when you let these things upset you, if you do, you're going to potentially leave a lot of money on the table, right? Because I've heard people say, "Well, I'm not going to operate in this market. Then I'm going to go to Sudbury. I'm going to go to this other market because it's not as hot there, whatever." I'm like, well, no, you can still act rationally here. Like it doesn't matter if there's 12 or 13 offers on the property or not. It's worth what it's worth based on comparable sales and the income that it's producing and the potential income. Like, why are you letting this bother you? You put your offer in what you think it's worth. If you win, you win. If not, we go on to the next one. There's so many good opportunities here that a lot of people have left, right? Windsor specifically, and they're just going to the next place. But like, since they've left, the market's up 30%. And you just left all that money on the table because you got frustrated with the process. I don't get frustrated with the process. I'm used to losing offers. I tell people all the time, like, we're probably going to lose 6 or 7 offers. It's cool because we stick to our numbers. We don't overpay. We don't get caught up in the hype. And as an investor, it's just numbers. Like when you're analyzing these buildings, you analyze a lot of buildings. Is there any emotion there? Like, is there any frustration? Like, if you're in multiple offers on something, do you care? Like, you're going to do your analysis and you're going to come in with an offer that makes sense. And if you don't win that one, we'll find another one. Right. Like,
and it's a little bit different with the bigger properties. Like, they'll usually pick and choose based off of like even clout. If they think that if you sell them on the fact that they know you're going to close, they kind of start swinging towards your end. But
also, like, the stuff in the US that we're looking at now, I don't know if they're at that stage where there's 7, 8 offers on some of the stuff.
I haven't seen it. Not on large scale properties.
Are you worried that might start happening?
Well, what I have been in a scenario of is people pinning my offer, or it seems like what it seems like is that some instances was they were trying to get me to come to the table because there was people sitting in the background.
And they're going to use your offer as leverage.
Exactly. So I feel like there has been a couple scenarios like that come down the pipe because all of a sudden, like, I have these 2 agents that are like, submit an offer, submit anything, even if it's low, we don't care. So I submit something low and I know it's going to happen. Like, I'm not like stupid. I know it's not like I don't know that this is actually like coming down the pipe. Like, they're going to leverage my offer here, but whatever. At the end of the day, it didn't really it's not like I went down there and this and that. Like, I don't have like all that much. Yeah. I shot my shot based off numbers. And if it doesn't land, whatever, I'm kind of like, these motherfuckers. But at the end of the day, I'm not like super bent about it. I know what's going on.
Now, my personal thoughts, maybe you might have more insight on this, but like, we might start seeing, even on that big stuff in the US, we might start seeing multiple offers at the same time. Like, I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I'm starting to see a lot more like call for offer dates. So it's not like you don't have a scenario where there's like a bidding, like, okay, well, submit your offers on this date. It's okay, we're ready to start accepting offers. And
that sounds to me,
it sounds
kind of like an offer date. Am I
it
wrong?
Is. It's not, but it's not like on that date they will be picking a buyer. It doesn't happen that way.
So they're marketing the property before looking at offers.
Yeah.
So
they typically do this a lot off market first.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So we have to remember, like 4 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago, what we're seeing now wasn't really a thing. It was just budding, right? And there were signs of it, there were shades of it, but the market wasn't hot enough to really need to do that or whatever. Is it possible that that's budding right now in some of these states that we're looking at? Yeah. Hopefully not.
It is in the single family residential homes.
True.
It is happening there.
True.
I don't know if I've never asked the question of, does that happen on larger scale multifamily?
That's a good point.
I do know that there are auction houses out there that are getting actually very popular now. So I do know, and this kind of, I guess, translates into or segues into our next comment here. But for example, 10X is an auction house that's owned by CoStar and in like LoopNet and apartments.com and all that stuff. It's all the same company. But I have talked to a couple agents that have mentioned before all of this shit going on now, 10X was used for like dilapidated properties, stuff that was like in bankruptcy or foreclosure or whatever. And it was more for like the larger scale real estate. Now people are purposely listing their properties, like their large scale multi-res on 10X because they're getting more money because it's an open auction. So this segues into our next debate here of, would an open auction house in Canada produce
Would it slow the market?
Would it slow the market? Would it produce higher values? Would it produce lower values? What would it do?
Are these low prices and bidding wars driven by the low prices, are they the problem?
Yeah.
And people think that they are. In my personal opinion, if you went to an open auction style where everybody's just out there like they have it in Australia, you're just, if I list my little raised ranch, people are out there bidding. I personally think it would be worse.
Well, have you looked into it?
No.
If it is worse or not?
No, but I know Australia has some really expensive prices, like real estate.
So one of the things when we were talking before this podcast that you mentioned is, how many scenarios have you been in where you're like, fuck, I would have paid $5,000 more. I would have paid 10 more if I would have known. If I would have known. I know I've been in that scenario more than a dozen times.
Yeah, 100%.
So if I would have known, what was going on behind the scenes, I may have very well driven the price up.
You may have
further.
come in with what you thought was a really good offer.
Yeah.
Let's say it's listed at $199. You come in at $390.
Yeah.
And somebody offers $397, but you thought $390 was going to be a win, right? You got to draw your line somewhere.
Yeah.
But then you see it sold for $397. You might say, frick, I would have paid $400 for that. Like shit. Like I thought $390 was a win, but I know it's worth that. Like
and here's the thing too. When you're watching those fucking numbers increase, the emotions that overcome you are like significant. Have you ever been on fucking eBay and you really wanted something?
Yeah.
Right, Jesse? I know you do that shit. So on eBay, like it's the same thing, right? Like eBay, you can watch that shit like skyrocket, right?
Especially when it's a product in high demand, right? Which right now real estate happens to be, right? If this was a balanced market, I think open auctions would be fine, but I think also just normally pricing would be fine as well. The problem is you have a product in short supply, and emotions are going to come into play either way. But if you had an open auction and you were actually seeing the numbers, like you just said, I think people would go higher than they would in a closed auction, because sometimes I'm putting in offers that I think are going to win, or I think we're going to be top 2 or 3 and we're just not.
Yeah.
But it's not because we wouldn't pay more. It's because we don't know.
Yeah.
So we're drawing our line somewhere. We're going off the comps. We're going off the income or whatever the case is. We're drawing our line. We're saying, okay, this is a good shot. And we would have maybe went $5,000 or $10,000 more, especially if we're watching it.
I know. Yeah.
Live in real time.
This also segues into a couple other questions that I have. So I read a post. I don't remember exactly where the article or whatever. Somebody had put an offer on a home. There was 3 offers. Someone put an offer, or this particular person that was the main, I guess, discussion about this. This person had put an offer in, and this person's offer was the highest offer. Okay. And the selling agent came back and told all those people to sharpen their pencils. This is, they kind of like, in so many words, kind of like explained where the offer needs to be, or where the highest offer was, or whatever. And lo and behold, these people did sharpen their pencils, but the word got out where the offer was actually lower than all 3 offers. The agent just did that, went back to the 3 people, the potential buyers, and tried to get more money out of them, try to squeeze more money out of them. So at what point, or what have you seen being an agent?
Yeah, I've been on the other side of that table.
So at what point, like, how I'm bringing up people thinking like certain things are sleazy. What is actually considered sleazy? That's what I'm interested in.
Point. So
like, what should people actually look out for that is actually considered in your world sleazy?
It's tough, because I've been on the receiving end of that phone call a lot, where it's, hey, there's 6 or 7 offers on a property. We put in our offer. We're in the top 2 or 3. We get the call back saying, hey, there's a couple close offers. They can't legally disclose the content of any other offers, but they can say it's close. And, do you want to increase your offer? And they have to do it equally. So they would have to call all the agents to give them the same opportunity. That's how it's not sleazy, without telling us the offer. Now, here's the thing. I'll go back to my client and say, listen, I don't know if this guy is telling me the truth or not. But in my experience, most of the time, if we don't increase our offer, we lose most of the time. So I just have to leave it open to them. And then what I'll say to them is like, listen, the property's worth between X and Y. So if you're operating in those things, like, it's up to you if you want to come in like increase your offer. How bad do you want the property? It's just my job to make sure you're not overpaying. I've also had that call where they've come back and said, hey, it's close. We're giving you the opportunity to increase your offer. And we don't. And we end up being the highest offer. So they were kind of playing the game. So in short, like there's really no way to tell if you're on the receiving end of that phone call, whether or not they're telling the truth. Now, is that sleazy or illegal? To be honest, I don't think it is. I don't really know the rule around it, right? If I'm making a call and just saying, hey, like, you know, we want more money, or there's some really close offers here. What's close? Is it 10 grand? Is it 20 grand? Is that 20 grand higher than me? Like I can really say whatever I want. Now, is it sleazy or unethical? Maybe to the buyer it is, but maybe if you're the seller, maybe it's not, right? Because your agent's going to work for you.
Yeah.
So it's a tough call. So basically what I would say is don't worry about it. Just stick to your numbers. If you're
so let's give an example of like a scenario where you were like, fuck, that's a lowball move, or that's a sleazy fucking move. Like, have you ever been in a scenario on the other end, or maybe on the selling end? I'm not going to ask you if like, hey, Scott, have you done anything sleazy? Obviously, like you have a lot of integrity. So I'm assuming no. So in terms of like dealings that you've had, have you ever been in a scenario where you were like, this is a fucking sleazy move right here. This is fucked up.
The only time when I really say that, I understand the market is what it is. So I don't get upset about those scenarios where they call me, because I just stick to my numbers.
Sure.
I advise my clients to do the same.
It's a sales tactic at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Why are you not going to get your client top dollar at the end of the day? Like, I don't think it's actually sleazy. I can see why a buyer would think it's sleazy, especially someone that's like, you know, buying a home to live in. They really wanted the home. As soon as they walked in that home, people are like, oh my God, I would watch TV here. I would wash my dog here. I would eat breakfast here. I would do this here. This is where my kids are going to sleep. As soon as people, that's the problem, right? They get super emotional. Then when you get that call, they think it's sleazy. Well, so I understand the whole notion of people thinking that way, but if you're seasoned enough, you're not going to think it's sleazy because it's a fucking sales tactic. And at the end of the day, you're there to get your seller the most money, and that's just it.
Yeah. So there's a difference between thinking it's sleazy and then when does it actually become sleazy? Yeah. It becomes sleazy. And I've been on the opposite side of this, when like an agent's trying to double end their own deal and bring their own buyer, and then they use your offer and then they top your offer because they, you know, and they do some shady stuff. Got it. Super hard to prove, right? Yeah. And there's ways that, like, if an agent has their own offer on one of their own listings, right, which means their client is trying to be the buyer of a listing they're selling, there's certain things that they should do, which is they should receive their offer first, timestamp it, and give it to their broker of record, so that now everything, I'm not going to change that offer. Now all the other offers come in, and we're going to pit them against each other, and the highest is going to win. Now, do all agents do that? In my experience, like 99% of the time, yes. And the first thing that I'm doing, if they have their own offer and my client has an offer, I'm calling them up and saying, how are you dealing with your own offer? And I'm making sure I protect my client. Are you giving it to your broker? Like, do you mind if would I have access to it if you happen to be the highest offer, right? Like, I'm making sure like this guy knows I'm on the ball and I'm not going to let this shit slip. Now, it doesn't work all the time because there are just some greasy agents, but very rarely does that happen. Like,
I gotcha.
1 in 100.
Have you ever been in a scenario like that?
Just once when I was a newer agent, where just like I submitted an offer on something, they rejected it, but didn't really tell me. They just let it expire. Didn't call me back, whatever. Call them back the next, midnight passes. I call them back the next day. Hey, what happened with that offer? Oh, we rejected it, whatever. Okay, well, we're going to resubmit. Oh, it's already sold to my own offer. Right. So the communication wasn't there. Theoretically, if another offer comes in, you should be trying to drive that price up. You should have called me and said, hey, I have my own offer here. Do you want to come in? Right.
So he actually did his seller a disservice.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's when it's sleazy,
because he wanted the double commission. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You should be trying to drive that price as high as possible.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I think it's sleazy when if I lose an offer, right, and I see on the board the next day that I lost by $1,000, that agent should have called me and given me a chance to come higher, because it's so close. Like, I should have gotten that call. I'll actually be mad if they don't. And if my my buyer sees that they lost by $1,000, they'll be like, oh, like, why didn't they call us? So it could actually be sleazy that they didn't call. And maybe they wanted their friend agent to win, or maybe they wanted their own offer to win. Again, this doesn't happen very often. Usually they'll call. So depending on your perspective, that's why there is no clear answer here. And that's why I encourage you not to get frustrated or not to get caught up on it. Now, why is this happening? You got to remember, people are out there losing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 offers, and they're frustrated. So they're coming in frustrated of losing, and that's what's driving the prices up. It's not the agents. It's legitimately, you don't have enough houses. And when you have 10, 11 people bidding on something, it's going to drive the price up. It's just the way it is. So it's not the agent's fault. And I'm working with people, we're on our 8th offer. And guess what? Every week the prices are rising because every new comp is creating a new higher sale. So we're like, shoot, we better get something now before it's too late. The problem is the housing market that we blame on the government policy, which has screwed this up so badly. That's where you put the blame. In the meantime, you got to operate with what we've been given and get yourself a good agent will help you navigate the market on the sales side or on the buy side. Make sure you don't overpay on the buy side, whether you're an investor or just a regular buyer. And we're going to make sure you get top dollar on the sales side. Like that's all we can do. But it's not our fault. It's the government's fault.
Yeah.
And with the open auction Fix It, when you have 10, 15, 20 people bidding on the same property, and we all know what the other bid is, and I just lost 4 auctions in a row because there's not enough houses, you think it's going to fix the problem? Not even close. I think it might make it worse.
Yeah. So last one I want to bring up to you. And this is something that is this is like general consensus at this point. I hear this all the time. Actually, I've never actually talked to you about this. Maybe I have. So a lot of people think that agents these days are not earning the commission that they're getting. Yeah, so you might have heard this already. I'm sure you're aware of it.
Yeah.
So the reason why is because all people feel is the only advantage to working with an agent these days is they have access to the MLS, so they have access to exposure, and they have access to the comps. And if they had access to that, there would be no reason for an agent anymore because of how hot the market is. So now I see certain things a little bit different. Now, again, when I go back and look at like 2007, 2008, when I started, agents were fairly important to me in working with a good agent. And the reason why was when I was especially new, when I was walking in these properties, I wasn't necessarily sure what to look for. Okay. And then when actual conditions were a thing, having the proper conditions covering your ass in case shit hit the fan, there was value there, you know? So they were, I feel, selling their knowledge and offering their knowledge as value to you, justifying the commission. Now, because there's no conditions pretty much ever, when was the last time you actually went in on a property like with conditions, or you even saw one that sold with a condition?
1%.
Exactly. So there's no conditions. So there's no knowledge base for legality issues or liabilities, right? So there's that. Then there's the exposure part, right? That if the general public just had exposure to the MLS or had, access to the MLS, they would be able to have the exposure that they need to get the property in front of more eyes. And then the third is, well, how do you actually know how much is a good deal, or if you're going to get a good deal? Well, you need comps to find out where the market is, and having access to the MLS would give you that. So those are like the 3 things that are consistently coming up of agents aren't earning their keep anymore because of how hot the market is. Now, I would love your take on that.
Whatever I say is going to be taken as bias, right?
Well, that's fine. But but again, I know what's interesting though is you are knowledgeable, and I know that. And you do offer your clients like way above and beyond what I've seen other agents do. So yeah, okay, you might be biased, but sell me from like an unbiased way for people to say, you know what, an agent does make sense in this scenario. But do it from an investor perspective, and do it from a first-time home buyer perspective, or someone, a first-time home buyer, as well as a home seller. So why should somebody not sell their house privately and go, say, with somebody like you?
First of all, for exposure, right? Like you want, here's the thing. Most buyers work with an agent. Why? For convenience. Okay. Like, who's going to show you the property on a Saturday afternoon, right? You're going to call the listing agent to show you and have the listing agent represent you. Or if it's a private sale, you're just going to show up to their house and have them show you around. Like it's for convenience, right? Like we have access to the house basically anytime. We take care of all the back end stuff, blah, blah, blah. So because most buyers work with an agent, that means that I have all the clients, right? So if you want your property in front of my buyers. It needs to be where I'm going to see it, which is on the MLS, right? So as a buyer, why should you work with an agent in this market without conditions? Because I've been on 150 home inspections. I've been through 6,000 homes. I've seen this, that, whatever. I know how to compare. Like you can look on Zillow in the US and try to compare a bungalow versus a bungalow, but like that firsthand knowledge of like this, I saw this bungalow 2 weeks ago. I saw that one in this area of the town. That one sold for this much. Like I'm another level of expertise because I'm doing this every day. Now, if your agent's like some part-time agent, you don't get a new agent, right? But if you have a good agent that's actually in the game every day, there's another level of expertise, right? And you don't, some people say like, oh, well, you sold my house in a week. Why should I pay you X amount? Well, because of my expertise, it's not based on time. It's based on experience. It's based on the fact that I've done 150 deals. I've dealt with this many people. I've seen this many houses. I've done this. I know this contract. I know how to get this amount of money. I know how to leverage this situation because I've done it, right? So our team had a really good week this week. And like, there were some really interesting scenarios where like we knocked it out of the park for our sellers. Like we leveraged this. We took this bully offer. We brought this person in. We took that offer and then we went and generated more offers by calling these other agents that showed it. Like there's certain things that we're doing that it looks easy, but like behind the scenes, like we're like hamsters. And like, I don't know, man, like I work way more now than most people probably do at their job, but it probably doesn't seem that way. Right. And another thing too is risk of my time. Like there's a lot of times when I do a lot of things for free. And there's no guarantee that my buyers will ever buy anything. And there's no guarantee that my seller will sell their house, right? If we don't generate the offer they want, I just wasted or spent $3,000 or $4,000 of my money to prepare the property, stage it, clean it, get it looking good for the market. And then maybe we don't sell it. And on the buy side, you know how many clients I've lost because the market's too hot or they found something privately or whatever. So I'm investing my time with no guarantee of any hope. So when we do get paid, you get paid well. But if I didn't get paid, nobody would do this job. There'd be no agents. Like, because it's so much time. I'm out on a Saturday. I'm out on a Tuesday. I'm out 7 o'clock. I'm writing an offer. I'm taking calls all the time. So, I don't know. I hope that gives another perspective.
That's the tip of the iceberg, right? People just see the money coming in.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Or like how much you're paying out, out on a sale.
And I know I pay my lawyer, you know, when I'm closing a transaction, a couple $1,000s for what seems like an hour of work, but it's not about, if he writes a will for me and it takes him 5 minutes, I don't care. I'm paying for his expertise.
Yeah.
And here's another thing too. If you're an investor, especially, stop trying to cheap out on valuable pieces of your team. Do you think I asked my builder for a discount? No. Do you think I asked my lawyer for a discount? No. I say, charge me what you would normally charge somebody. I don't care if I send you referrals. I don't care if, whatever, I give you a lot of business or I'm your friend or anything like that. Charge what you like. I want you to win. I want everybody on my team to win. I want my real estate agent to win. I want my lawyer to win. I want my accountant to win. I don't ask anybody for a discount. I want their expertise on my team because I'm going to make you more money if I'm on your team as an investor in Windsor. Because eventually I'm going to get you an off-market deal. Eventually I'm going to find you that diamond in the rough that you'll never see. I'm going to know about opportunities before they ever hit the MLS, like pre-construction condos, this, that, whatever. The previous deal that we represented never hit the MLS. It was never marketed. We sold the whole thing to our clients before it hit the MLS. So if you're on my team and if you're my client and I trust you and you trust me and I know you're not going to like snake me out or whatever, or go use somebody else or, waste my time, you're getting that call, right? You're going to get opportunities working with me. Now, an experienced, like you're an expert in real estate. Most people aren't. Like you do as much real estate as I do. Like you've been doing this for 15 years. You have more experience than I do, and you're not an agent. But you're calling people every day. You're in the game. You're going to see properties. Like you're an expert. Most people aren't experts. They're amateurs, right? And even if you read a couple books, even if you're on Zillow looking up comps, even if you know what a couple houses sold, you're not an expert. And and to think that you are, you might be costing yourself some money.
Yeah, of course.
Because you think, a lot of people think they're going to save money on if they don't use a buyer's agent, for instance. No, you're not. The seller agent's just going to double end it. Like they're going to tell you that you'll get a discount, especially in a hot market. You're not getting any discount because agents aren't cutting their commission. Yeah, you can't. Because if I cut my commission, I have to disclose it to every other agent. I piss everybody off.
Is that right?
I create an unlevel playing field, right? So very rarely does that happen. And the seller agent, right? If the seller's bringing their own buyer to their own property and they cut their commission, they have to disclose it. And then we would all be like, well, that's a snake move. You're creating an unlevel playing field for your own client, for your own buyer. Like that's a snake move. It's not professional, right?
So give a scenario here. So somebody's selling.
An agent's selling 123 Main Street, and one of their clients says, "Hey," or somebody off the street calls and say, "Hey, I want to write an offer on your property." And the agent says, "Well, hey, I've got 5% commission here. They're offering 2.5% to a buyer's agent. Well, I'm not going to take a buyer's agent." This actually happened to me a couple weeks ago. The seller agent brought their own client. They cut their buyer commission to 0. So when I'm representing my client, I've been running around this person for 6 months. I'm not taking 0 commission because I'd be out of business. So now it's an unlevel playing field, and we're all looking at her like, well, cut it 0.5% maybe, or cut it 1%, but to cut it to 0 is just like, it's just wrong. Or it's an unlevel playing field. So she ended up winning her own offer, by the way, and honestly, we would have been right up there if it wasn't for that. So that's 1 in 1,000. That almost never happens.
Interesting.
So usually what will happen is that agent won't cut their commission because they know it's a snake move.
I gotcha.
Because it's going to ruin it for the other agents.
I see.
And an unlevel playing field. Yeah. And it doesn't do any good.
It forces a buyer to come through her channels. Pretty much. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah.
Pretty much. And it all the other agents, like we're all on the same team. We're all out here grinding right now. It's a super hot market. I'm not going to screw my other agent friends over. Yeah. I want good relationships with them. So I'm not cutting my commission to 0. I'm not cutting it, period. If I'm the only offer, then, maybe I'll reduce my commission for the seller, not for you. Yeah. It's so my seller gets more money, right? Or whatever. So, but very rarely is that happening now.
Interesting. Huh.
So usually what the agent will do is just say, hey, like they might hint that, oh yeah, you might get a chance. You know how many people call me on listings and say, oh, I'm not represented by an agent because I know I'll get a better deal. And I'm just like, no, you won't, man. And I have the chance to double end it, but I'm like, I know this person's not going to win because they don't know the market. They think they're going to get a deal. It's listed at 199. They're calling from Toronto. I don't even waste my time with that guy. I'm not even going to try to double end it because he's wasting my time because the agents are going to bring the good offers because they know what's happening here. They've lost 5 or 6. They've been working with their buyers for 5 or 6 months. They're going to bring me a good offer because they know the market. It's those people.
They probably take that from one of our podcasts when I say go to direct buyers to the direct buy. That shit doesn't necessarily work. Number one, in this kind of market, and number two, on like residential, like single family homes. This is not the case.
That's a good point. Yeah,
it doesn't work like that. Like bigger stuff, when you can actually when you have clout and you can actually go in
and it's not as competitive.
It's not as competitive.
You might be the only offer.
Yeah, exactly.
You can wheel and deal a little bit.
Exactly. That's when I like that. And I did do that a lot. I worked directly with the buying agents, and this was in the slower markets. This is when, again, I keep on referring to 2008 and all that stuff, but that's when I started doing it. And then 2008 all the way up to maybe 5 years past that, I would work with the buying agents, and I ended up, I did it also because I had contact with almost a ton of them. So whenever
it was a job for you.
Yeah. Whenever
you were doing a lot of business.
Whenever someone then had a property and I was already in contact with them, and I would leave, if something didn't work out or whatever on that particular property that I was contacting them, I would always be like, okay, well, if you have something similar, keep me in mind. And lo and behold, when something similar came and I could work directly with them, they would.
And also here's the thing. This is not an amateur strategy. If you're out there buying one property a year, you don't have the clout and firepower to be buying 7, 8, 9, 10 properties a year to get those agents to send you stuff because they know you're going to actually pull the trigger. Yeah. This isn't the strategy for you. It's going to backfire on you because you're probably going to end up overpaying something. Yeah. Now, I have people call, people call me and say, what do you think this property, if it's my listing, send me the comps. Okay. What do you think I'm going to send them? I'm going to send them the highest because I'm not working for you. I'm working for my seller, right? You're not my client. You don't want to be representing all the time.
Like not working with agents. We're
not working with an agent. Can you send me the comps? Okay. Yeah. Here they are. Or what do you think this is going to sell for? I think it's going to sell for $1 million. Right? I'm not, you're not my client. My seller is. I am working for my seller. So unless I'm a greasy agent, that's my goal is to double end it. Most agents are going to do a good job for the seller, and they're going to try to get top dollar for the seller. So you coming in without representation, being represented by the listing agent, which would be called customer service, right? Because you're not technically representing both parties. You're providing customer service to them. Your fiduciary duty is to the seller to get top dollar. That's your legal duty. So if you do anything snakish that doesn't get them top dollar, then you're a snake agent, like straight up. So, but also if that agent's doing their job, you're being misrepresented. He's not going to do anything, like I'm not going to do anything illegal, right? Like they are comps, but here are the highest sales. This is what my client wants on the sales side. I'm not representing you.
Interesting.
So you're being represented by the wrong person. Unless you're an advanced investor that knows the market very well, you're playing with fire.
Yeah.
And also, like, you know what you're looking for now, right? Like when you walk through a property, you know everything to look for. Most people don't.
Yeah.
And also, it's just for time. Like, how much time do you waste making phone calls? How much time do you waste writing offers, writing your own offers and submitting them, whatever? Like,
for sure.
Setting up, calling the agent, trying to get a hold of this agent, trying to get comps. You have one contact. You can call me anytime. I'm in the game. I'm saving you time while you're going to make money elsewhere. Like you're going to make $1 million on this property if you hold it for 25 years and you're sweating like my $5,000 commission. Like who cares? Like, like why are you even thinking? You're trying to save $2,000. You're trying to save $3,000. Like, but you're paying for it with time and effort when you could be paying somebody to do it for you.
Let's not consider the fact that like when you keep on like nonstop grinding people down, they're going to be a little hesitant to work with you.
People that try to grind me don't get either you don't work with me or you don't get my best. Like you think I'm going to send you my best deals? It's going to go to my best clients that don't do that because they, whatever. That's just the way it is, right? Most of my clients don't care, right? They don't try to like hammer me down for anything, especially on the buyer side, right? Like you're not even paying me; the seller pays, right? So, but people call me up and they'll say things like, "Will you split your commission with me on the buy side?" And I'm like, "No." Like. They want me, because the seller pays my commission. They think I'm going to take my commission and give them a check for $2,000 or $1,000 or something. It's like,
I see.
Okay, well, you're a teacher. If I send my kid to your school, are you going to give me a portion of your check? Like what are you talking about, right? Like this is a job.
Yeah.
Like this is a job. I'm out here grinding.
Yeah.
What do you think this is, right? I'm not some lazy agent that goes and shows a property or two and gets paid. Like, no, I'm like this is work.
I think the misconception out there too is like there's so many like fly by night agents popping up left and right here too. And then there's also like all these agents that are coming online and like they think they're awesome and like that kind of shit too. I think that's kind of like muddying the water here a little bit.
I'm seeing 10 agents a week right now. 10 new agents a week. And I don't know if it's because of the hot market or because of relatively low barriers to entry. But not all lawyers are created equal. Not all real estate agents are created equal. Not all teachers are created equal. You better don't go with the part-time agent or the agent that's about to retire and they're not really in the game. Like find yourself a good agent, a hustler, like somebody that's out there grinding for you on the buy or sales side. Because they cost the same. You're typically paying the same rate unless you get somebody that's willing to discount their commission to work with you. But what does that tell you? Like, I don't need to discount my commission because I'm too busy. It just wouldn't be worth my time. And it tells me something about you. It tells me something about you that you're cheap, typically, unless you're advanced and you just want to, whatever, unless you're looking at bigger stuff. Like, I understand why you do it.
Discount, you know what I mean? Something like that.
But I know why you're doing it. But like for the average beginner investor,
I've never asked for it. So whenever I get like, people take a haircut like that, they've offered it.
That's true too. I will offer it in some scenarios, right? Like to get a deal done.
Or they'll say, hey, you know what? Like we've done a lot of business together. What's your, what do you think is fair? Right. And I say, why don't you come to me what you think is fair? Like, I don't want to put that out there for you. You tell me what you think is fair. If you're bringing this up where you're questioning like, hey, what do you think would be a fair offer? Then you tell me what you think is fair.
I like it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And and you do a lot of business. You should get a bulk discount. Like if it's my sixth property for you that I sold and I don't offer you a discount, well then maybe I'm the grease ball, right? Or whatever the case is, right? If you bought 50 properties.
Yeah, and it keeps you loyal, right? Like it keeps you're going to keep going to that guy.
Yeah, I'm going to take care of my people and they take care of me. So you'll get it back. Yeah. And that's why when you treat people with respect, you're going to get it back. Yeah. Either in a great deal or something that you wouldn't have found on your own, or I'm going to reduce my commission for you because you've been loyal to me, right? but I don't lead with that. I don't call people up that are the best at the best and say, hey, well, can you give me a discount? I'm not calling the best lawyer in the city and asking for a discount as my first conversation.
Yeah.
If anything, I'm like, I'm going to prove myself to this lawyer that I'm loyal and a good client, even my accountant, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to make you guys a lot of money because I'm trying to do a lot of business.
And you have to do that. Like, how are you going to build clout with someone?
And then guess what? When you start giving them business and they realize, oh shoot, this guy's making a lot of moves, like we're going to be able to bill him more. That's fine. I'm cool with that. Guess what? My level of service goes up. Yeah. When I'm Joe Schmo that just does my T4 at the end of the year and they charge me $400, you think they're calling me? You think I have them on speed dial? No, because I'm not giving them any value, right?
Yeah.
All I'm doing is trying to take and then whatever. Yeah. So I'm sure when you call people, I'm sure they're answering the phone because you're the top client and you're helping them make money and they're going to help you make money. So that's the team thing, right? So stop being cheap. Yeah. Stop trying to scam people. Like you should want your agent to win because when you make them win, I'm going to make you win. And you're not, I don't care how active you are, you're not in the game as often as I am. It's literally my job 7 days a week, every day. For sure. I'm on the MLS 24/7. So it's super interesting topic, but it is. You still work with agents too, right?
Yeah, like I do. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you and I have done. How many deals we did? One, right? Two. Did we do two? Fourplexes. Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. The duplexes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we've done. You and I have done deals. I typically work with one guy that I've ended up finding that him and I mesh very well. But Scott and I have some pretty big things coming down the pipe here, and. Yeah. Stick to your team. Let your team, everybody on your team win. Stop being cheap. Your team is very important. I mean, it's been a very big portion of how I've been able to build what I've built is being able to rely on very competent people. Yeah. Like very competent people. But they can also rely on you because you're loyal. Yeah. You're loyal. Like we've been friends for a long time. I was the best man at your wedding. Yeah. And you're still loyal to your agent from 10 years ago. And I respect that. Yeah. I respect that like 100%. So you get it back in spades. So for the message out here for the people listening is, I think a lot of people come in and they're trying to take, right? They want a discounted commission. They want you to send off market deals. They want this, they want your time. They want this. And they're not coming in with the mindset of how do I make my accountant win? How do I make my real estate agent win? Well, I got to pull the trigger, right? If my agent's going to give me their time, I better be buying properties, right? Like I better pull the trigger eventually. I can't just keep messaging him for 6 months and never do anything because he's too busy for that. You know? They're going to know you're full of shit. Yeah, exactly. And eventually it's just, you're going to fade into the sun. For sure. The nightfall or whatever. I don't know. The nightfall? Fuck is a nightfall? Yeah. Jesse, translate. But if you want to build your team better be winning around you. Yeah, of course. As well. And I think I just kind of had this awakening too, as my pieces are coming together, because I'm trying to take my game to the next level. Yeah. It's I better let this guy better win too. Mm-hmm. And since I started doing that, my level of service has gone up significantly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is pretty key for some newer people out there. Or, for sure. Whatever. So, I don't know. I guess that kind of sums it up. Pretty much.